Everybody, Adam Savage here, and I am not in my cave. I am in the tested offices because my cave is being used today for a different shoot. So I've headed over here to do everybody's favorite kind of build, a puppet build. Yes, you should know, we here at Tested are super puppet obsessed, and that's what's about to happen.
Did you like that? This is an STL file sent to me by a wonderful maker named Michael Herm. So I've scaled him up to be my samurai doppelganger. Yes, puppets. There are two kinds of people in the world. Those who recognize that puppets are freaking awesome and those who have not yet realized this fact. We here at Tested are in the former category. We love puppets. We love puppet makers. We count many of them among our friends and colleagues. And in fact, it's through those friends and colleagues that I came to be aware of an incredible company that makes puppet kits. Puppets are awesome, but good puppets can be incredibly expensive. And if you want a high quality, good puppet made of the right kind of fleece, it could be in the thousands of dollars to get a real puppeteer to make one. But this company, Monkey Boys Productions, which is founded by Mark Petrosino and Michael Latini, sells the puppet kit, and I'm going to build it today on camera. Now, I'm actually already familiar with these guys' work. I didn't quite realize it, but in their wonderful introductory letter, they said they do costumes, creatures, puppets, and props for all sorts of things like Pose, Last Week Tonight, The Tonight Show, Little Shop of Horrors. They built the podium that Melissa McCarthy throws around when she played Sean Spicer on Saturday Night Live. And I remember looking at that podium and pausing and being like, whoever built that did a really good job because that thing is light as a feather. So I am already a fan of Mark and Michael's work. They were put in touch with us by our friend, master puppet maker and puppeteer, James Wojital. And what we have here is a kit for a puppet named Glurp. This is an entry-level kit that Monkey Boys Production sells. And I'm going to put Glurp together. I'm going to put Glurp together. Yeah, I just said that sentence. I have no knowledge about what this includes. I am cold as ice in opening this up, but I'm very excited. Puppets. You might have seen, I even have a couple of Kermit the Frog puppets in my collection. Okay, we got some fur, yellow felt, black felt, cardboard, hat pins, yellow thread, some sewing needles, some eyes, some cotton batting or poly batting, just for, feels greasy. And then we have this special add-on kit for better eyes and noses. These have been vacuum formed. These are great. With felt for the pupils, I'm guessing. This is awesome. Wow. Very useful sheet of shapes. Look at this. Oh, we have arm rods too. Oh, this is great. This is gonna be so much fun. Okay. Arm rods, puppet stand. Okay, that's that. Oh, this is beautiful. Look at Glurp. And here are the patterns. Okay. Oh, I was just working on my bear costume. And so I was just, again, using fur and trying to determine the nap of the fur. That is the natural way the fur wants to fall. And even synthetic fur has a nap. It has a direction it likes to fall in. And it's clearly mission critical here because the direction of the nap is illustrated on each piece of the puppet. It's funny because when I was working on the pattern for my bear head, I'm doing the same thing. I'm drawing out the patterns and then I'm drawing out which way the nap goes. This is Glurp. this is who we're going to make. And as you can see from the illustration, he is eyeless and noseless, but hopefully between these two sheets of shapes, we can remedy that. That is a later part of the project. I also have some other puppet eyes over in the cave. This is the directions. These are, all right. All right, I'm gonna go get some tools. All right, I'm gonna start out by drawing out these pattern pieces onto the fabric and then cutting them out. Okay, I have, I think, most of the things that I need. And now I am cutting out some arms. There's a lot of parts to cut out. That's the first part of this. So this puppet is composed of fur, fleece, and felt. And until this moment, I had never realized how alliterative the main materials for puppet manufacturing actually are. Fur, fleece, and felt. Okay. This is an arm, and this is the last pattern sheet. Great. So far, I will say that all the pieces of these directions seem very clear and straightforward, which is deceptively difficult to do for any kind of instruction manual for building a thing. I have written up enough articles on how to do stuff to be impressed by well-made instructions. It is very funny seeing the word glurp so many times. Maybe that's part of the reason they named him Glurp, because it's just entertaining to see that word. We don't have any GLURP sets in English. Glurp. And this is the last bit, this oval. Black felt, poly fleece, luxury fur, right. Okay, so this is the black felt, and this is the mouth lining, right? Yeah. Tool. Blade dull. All right. 4 of those. So now it's time to cut out the fur. Now, fur is a very particular thing about cutting out fur. See, if you were to take your scissors and just cut into it, as you can see, you'd be cutting through the backing, but also like all of the hairs that are on the pile side, as opposed to the bald side. So the way you cut fur without ending up with a million little nurnies of fur everywhere in your life, although that is technically also going to happen because fur tends to shed, is to use a very sharp blade like this and slicing from the back, but only through the backing. That's what I'm about to do for all 6 of these parts, and it's going to be tedious and laborious, but it nets a fantastic result. With a good sharp X-Acto blade, this should be a very, very reasonable operation. And the moment your X-Acto blade loses some of its joie de vivre, throw it out and get another one.
Seriously, there's no reason to waste your time on a non-sharp blade. It's funny. X-Acto blades are like one of the most important expendables in special effects. And I specifically remember Heinemann used to get really pissed off that we used so many of them. So he would ration them, which in my opinion is like the opposite of what you should be doing. You can't ration them. You've got to like give us more of them. But to each their own. But I remember him getting really pissy about us using tons of crazy glue, which is literally like the beating blood, heart blood of the special effects industry. And he'd be like, I'm rationing your crazy glue. Doesn't make any sense. Hey man, it was a long time ago. It's Chinatown, Jake. Oh. And I'm using a very light touch here on my right cutting hand. With a sharp blade, it literally, it's very little pressure. I gotta make sure these marks are on the inside because they're alignment marks. Yep. Okay, here's the first piece of fur, and you'll see how this comes out. See that? And precious little of these hairs have gotten cut. Yeah, that's awesome. All right. 5 to go. If this feels like the most tedious part of the build, it is definitely one of the more tedious parts of the build. You have to just resign yourself to like, this is what's happening in this part of the build. You got to cut a lot of things out, and it's going to take a while before you can start to see how this thing is actually going to go. This X-Acto blade's getting a little duller, but it'll survive to the end of these cuts. There's a lot of hand stitching. I can tell that right now. That's going to be very contemplative. Uno más. One part left. Here we go. Let's see, we've got arm, 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 and arm. We've got fur neck. We've got headpiece. You see? Are you starting to see? Some form is beginning to make itself known. Okay. Some fur stitching hints. Pin the fleece face to the fur body at the seam, matching the notches. Stitch the seam closed using a whip stitch. Okay. Fleece face to the fur body. They've included some straight pins. That's great. All right. I have the fleece faces. Ooh, look at that. I have the fleece faces pinned to the fur bodies, and I'm about to do some whip stitching. And there's this thing that I've come to understand lately, because I've been doing a little more hand sewing on some of my projects, is that hand sewing is way faster than I thought it was. Like, I'm such a sewing machine snob that it didn't even occur to me to hand stitch some stuff. But I came across a project recently where there was no other way to deal with it And I was totally surprised by how fast it was. It had been a long time, and I kind of wheeled it out of my mental palace because I thought of it as too laborious. But I was wrong. Oh, my old eyes can still thread a needle. Yeah, there we go. Here comes some whip stitching. Whip stitch the body and head together along the center line front and center back seams, right sides together. Figure 15, make sure to leave the mouth unstitched. Yes. Line up the center points of the felt mouth plate with the center seams of. Great, great, okay. That means I'm going to pin these together back to back and stitch them all the way up. I know I like to say this when I'm doing some of these maker kits, but this would be an excellent gift for a maker, I'm telling you right now. Sewing, one of the things about tedious jobs is that they almost always take less time than you think they will. Come on. They really do take less time than you think they will. Like you spend this thought dreading, like, oh my God, it's gonna take so much time to sew that one seam. And the fact is, it's like, I'll be done with the second part of this seam in the next 15 minutes. And wow, I chose enough thread to make it all the way to the end of this seam. Very pleased. There is a whip stitch across the whole back from the nose to the neck to the body. And on the other side. Oh, it's looking neat. My whip stitching leaves something to be desired, but that's good enough. Okay, so new piece of thread, new pins. I messed it up. Yeah. Yeah. I did a mess up. I did a wrong thing. This is the fleece, and it has two sides, a good side, and a bad side. And I sewed them in reverse. So the inside of my, yep. Measure twice, measure once, cut twice. Yeah, I don't have, no, that's it. So his face is just gonna be a little bit off because I can't turn it back inside out, such as it is. All right, now it's time to put the mouth in here, and that is this piece. And they want a tight whip stitch on this one. Now, ooh, cardboard. Ah, right. Top and bottom. Okay, copy that. All right, here we go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to coat the inside of this mouth flap
with contact cement. And then I'm going to also put some on this mouth palette, and it's going to do this business. And I'm going to glue that together. Yeah. So. Oh, that smell. I love the smell of Barge glue. I know that I shouldn't, but honestly, I think it's where I get some of my X-Men powers. I work with this long enough, I start to be able to see through walls. Yeah, spend a couple of days with it, you'll start to be able to see 10 seconds into the future. It's magical. Maybe I shouldn't talk about recreational glue sniffing. All right, let those dry. All right, so remember I poked holes around the perimeter of this with the awl. I am now using said holes to sew in this fleece flap, and this is actually going to be how I use my hand. This is actually a pocket for my hand. To puppeteer with. Oh, it's very easy. This is great. Wow, I'm actually going to make it all the way around, I think. Maybe not. Let's see. All right. I can turn the page. Arms? Wait a minute. Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, we're on the arms. Ha! Incredible. I want the pleasure of turning this inside out. Is there an instruction on how to do it? No. Ah, here we go. Very carefully, step 9, turn your puppet body and head inside out. Okay, here we go. Very carefully, I will. Oh, wow, this is not trivial. This is always the hardest part of sewing, is the turning of stuff inside out. There we go. Well, color me impressed. Wow. All right. I definitely really screwed up by sewing the fleece on inside out, but this doesn't mean he's not a delightful looking character. Hello. How are you? What are you looking at? You don't have any eyes. I know. What is that extra syllable? It's I know. Hey, how are you doing? What's that over there? I particularly like how this, he's got this kind of interesting Mennonite beard. Yeah, I think that's excellent. Thank you. You're welcome. I have to admit, I'm sad that I messed up the fleece on this face, because if I hadn't, one of the things about the fleece is when you set it up right, it helps hide the seams, and the seam's really obvious right now. So I apologize. I am
literally like, I am literally sad about it. Yeah, I'm a little sad. Well, you don't have to explicate every syllable. No? No. Good. All right. Eyes. We're going to get some eyes in a bit. But that is lovely for a couple of hours of work. Shall we do some arms? Yes. Okay. What's the problem? Hello, hello, hello. You look armless. Thank you. Let's remedy that. So on here, they have you leave a gap here on the back side of the wrist, and that's for being able to turn this thing inside out. And when we turn it inside out, I may need to go get a dowel, a wooden dowel, but mostly now it's just about slowly going through and sewing. And you know what? I find this work tedious, but the tedious work is often some of the most rewarding mentally. I don't know why. It's meditative. It's just great. Plus, I'll be done with this in like 15 minutes, this arm. And, it was only 15 minutes. Tedium sometimes makes time seem to pass slower. Ay, ay, ay. Come on. I'm curious how this is going to turn inside out, because that is often one of the most difficult aspects of sewing, is turning your object inside out. Because sewing, like mold making, is a process that often happens upside down and backwards. And, I've got a lot of fur in the way here. It's going to cause me some interesting potential difficulties in forcing the interior parts of this past each other so I can, again, turn this whole thing inside out. And it's nice to build a little rhythm where everything's in the right place, and that definitely makes time pass a little quicker once you build that rhythm. Normally, I would sew both of these arms and then turn them inside out. But in this case, I'm so nervous about turning this one inside out, I'm actually going to turn it inside out right after finishing it, just in case there are aspects to that require me to change how I do the second arm. I'm just not sure. I'm just expecting a lot of trouble. And we'll see if I meet that trouble. I hope I don't. We shall. Well, there's only one way to find out. It is fun using this technique and realizing that I'm, doing the same things that have made countless Muppets over the years and brought all sorts of wonderful, crazy, delightful, loving, creative personalities into the world. Oh. So that's definitely something I do sometimes, is if I have questions about how something's going to work mechanically, I try and take that piece. I love assembling stuff and doing all my steps in, discrete packets. But sometimes when I'm trying to solve an engineering problem, it's better to not do assembly line and just attempt to make the whole thing work piece by piece, because if I have to modify my technique on the next one, this will tell me. 1, 2, 3. My hands are so beat up, I'm catching the thread on my scabs. Oh, okay. Okay. Get a dowel. So, this is how I usually do a long tube. I'll get a dowel. I'll soften the end of the dowel, as you can see there on the belt sander. And then I'll sit there and I'll slowly attempt to push the arm past the dowel
Yep, I can feel it moving. Oh my God, so much resistance. That's it. Now we're moving. Yes! Oh, it's not nearly as bad as I was afraid. So now I've pushed the top through here, and it's, sorry. So now I pushed the top all the way into here, and it pulled it out through here. So now I'm about to release it from its prison, as it were. Wow! I really didn't think that was going to work out so nicely. All right, so now we do the same thing on the hand, which after all that should be really easy. Actually, I'm going to start with the thumb to see if I can't. Wow. All right, this fur is definitely a lot easier to work with than I was afraid it would be. Oh. So that tells me, oh, there's a furry little hand. Oh, yeah. All right. On to the next arm. Oh, I must say I'm quite relieved. Okay, there we go. There's one completed arm and one uncompleted arm, and now I'm going to turn this one out just like this one. There we go. We have our two arms. Close it up with a ladder stitch. All right. I want to make this thumb a little more visible, I'm going to go get a pair of scissors and snip this just a little bit. You have to be really careful when you're trimming fur so you don't, the directions actually say, remember, you can't unclip what you've clipped.
That's a little better, a little more like an arm. And we put this guy's right about there. Yeah. So I'm just going to excavate a little bit of the hair here. That gives me a location. It's actually quite difficult to sew this fur because of all the fur. He looks great. What do you think?
Well, I think a lot, but I can't see anything.
You can't see anything.
No, I can't. You have failed to give me eyes. You have failed to give me eyes. Eyes, 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 eyes. Eyes, 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 eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Really? No.
Yes? Yes. Did you just lie to me? Okay. Eyes. Let's see about the eyes. We have these, which certainly could be the first pass at the eyes. Oh, yeah, everything matters. Okay, I'm going to pull some stuffing out of his head because I had put it in prematurely. And then I wanted to see about where the eyes should go. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. So let's see here. Now the eyes have these kind of ratcheting, threaded stalks on them. I haven't cut a big enough hole in here. There we go. Okay, now let's get this thing on the back side of it. When you have these eyes, it'll be really clear how they mount. Oh, wow. But, oh, there we go. Okay. There we go. That's one that's in. Great. So what it is these eyes have this little ratcheting stalk and a keeper on the other side. So you poke a hole in the fabric, put the stalk through, bring the keeper from the inside, and yeah, you got an eye. Okay, now I'm going to add some stuffing to the head, and that should bring us into the completion of this project. So I'll bring some stuffing up under the eyes and out to the end of the nose. Oh yeah, good. And maybe a little bit more behind the head is. Great. I've got a little pocket there for my hand. Oh, you know, I want to add one thing.
What is it?
Well, I think because you look a little like an orangutan.
I do.
Yeah, you do look a little ape-like. You got these long arms.
Yeah, those are for dancing.
Really? Mm-hmm. Where do you go dancing?
Bulgarian disco.
Wow. Bulgarians like to dance, do they?
Oh, yeah.
What about the Russian disco?
Same thing.
Okay.
What do you think I'd eat?
Well, first of all, I can see that I've touched your fleece. Stop touching my nose. I'm sorry, but I can see that you've got, it looks like it looks like you've got some blue jeans, like denim on you.
What does that have to do with anything?
It doesn't have to do with anything, but I think you need a tongue.
Oh,
Yeah, I think you do, and I think we can give you one pretty right quick. Let's see what I can do here. Yeah, I've got some felt. And I've got some felt of various colors. Oh my God, this is all fleece of various colors. Holy cow. Ooh, for noses, if I want to do a nose. Oh my goodness, this is an upgrade kit, but I need some, give me just a second. I couldn't find the felt that I was looking for, so I'm gonna give him a blue tongue of fleece.
a blue tongue of fleece.
Yeah, I think he's a blue-tongued devil is what he is. And I think like that. Yeah, something a little like that. Let's just try it out. Actually, no, the fleece does not work for a tongue. Hang on, maybe I can make it work for a tongue. Hold on. Just trim this. Ooh, there we go. I'm going to tape this into place because it's temporary tongue. Temporary tongue. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. Will you show everyone your tongue? Are you serious? Are you self-conscious about your tongue? Still have to open wide and say, ah, ah, ah. It looks like you ate a popsicle.
Yeah.
He's delightful. I really like this guy.
Thank you.
I don't know if your tongue works. I'm gonna have to go get some felt and give you a red tongue, maybe even a, what do you call it? A uvula. Yeah, a little.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
No, I mean, thank you for bringing me into being.
Oh, hey, you're totally welcome. Say goodbye to everyone.
Goodbye, everyone.
This has been a super, super fun one-day build, and I just like totally upfront. I want to thank the Monkey Boys. Such a good name. This is a great kit. I really, really appreciate it. Mark and Michael, thank you. Thank you for a lovely afternoon of building, and I think the world could only be a better place when we have more puppets in it.
Oh, I totally agree.
Yeah, but you're a self-interested party. Mm-hmm. Thank you guys for joining me for this one-day build. I will see you next time. It's time to answer the door.
Bye.
Thank you guys for watching that video. If you'd like to further support us at Tested, you can do so by buying some merch from us in our store. A link is below, but I wanted to tell you that for the first time, we are releasing a discounted bundle of Tested merch, specifically our original 5 demerit badges. These are ways in which every maker screws up. So we've got the Measure Once, Curse Twice, releasing the mysterious blue smoke from electronics and stopping them from working, breaking a drill bit, 3D printer going all flying spaghetti monster on you, and my personal most common one, cutting your finger. Yeah, get yourself over to tested-store.com and line yourself up with some demerit badges. I'm gonna sew these to my apron. Oh, that actually would make a good one-day build.